Alright, and welcome to my channel, you bitches. Today I'm going to be showing you how I install a floating vanity. First, I take some just scrap woods and make a T-shape pieces to hold the vanity in its place. Just nailing them together temporarily with nails from a 18 gauge Pratt nailer. Now I am just making a center and the line where the top of the cabinet should be. I don't know what that is. And now I am marking out for electrical junction box. This is going to be behind the drawer, so I can get quite wide. I do not need accuracy for this one. But I'm just using small circular saw from behind, very handy. And now I'm going to cut out for the plumbing using standard large hole saw to put in a waste valve, waste pipe hole, and just slide that in place. Right now they are just free hanging or free sitting, just transferring the mark to the back. And you notice I start from the back and then I come around and come from the inside. That prevents tear out on the inside of the cabinet. Now I am sort of getting everything a little bit in place, just making sure it all lines up right. And now I take out middle cabinet and I use countersink and drill all of the holes for the inside cabinet and the end panels. Now I'm screwing the cabinet together. I'm screwing the cabinet together before I do the leveling, so I can level all at once. And I use a long straight edge so I can do the whole thing at once. I flip the level because sometimes they're pain in the ass. Now I am checking for studs. Here is a shim. It's a wedge piece of wood. And just trying to put the shims underneath the cabinet. And then I got sick of using a level, so now I'm on my laser system. I just mark a piece of wood, and then I put a block everywhere and make sure the laser hits the wood in the same spot. Very handy. It is a good method, I found. Now I am taking my markings for the stud finder, and I am checking just to make sure. Now I have pilot holes in the back of cabinet, and this is like a 4-inch lag screw I put on a large washer to make sure they're not pulled through. This is going to be a lot of weight and a lot of leverage on these cabinets. They're going to have big countertop and the sinks and stuff, and so I am just now drilling in the second line of screws. I put 8 screws in the back, I think. Now we put on the end panel, just a finished end panel that is decorative. Then I do this one. It not fit quite as well, so I have to scribe it back. I make sure it is even in the front, and then I just mark with a line, describe. And I start out with a bit of a circular saw cut, just from the underside to make sure there's less tear out. And it's just a little bit not close enough. So I bring it back and I use what is called a Shinto rasp. I really like it. It's good for, medium amounts of material removal. And on an edge like that, it can be hard to restart the circular saw. Yes, it is a little bit manual labor intensive, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Anyways, we are back here, put on the end panel, get it in place, and cleaning a bit off and just cutting off the shim so that put the countertops on sometime. Clean, use a vacuum, and then that's it. That's the whole thing. I didn't have the drawers that day because obviously the plumbing is in the way, and so that is my presentation. I hope you learned something from it. And yes, happy Monday. We are still in COVID times, so I hope you don't get the disease. And have a good day. Yes. Goodbye.
Cheers mates, how the fuck you going? My name's Brian and today I'm going to show you how to put in a floating vanity. So I'm just starting out with this. I actually quite like this Ryobi 18 gauge battery powered pin nailer. It's nice when you don't want to carry around a whole compressor. Anyhow, I'm just taking these pieces of scrap wood they're all measured to the same, I think 10 inches off the ground, just so I can put the cabinets together without trying to hang them all at once, one at a time I should say. And I'm just checking for center, and then I'm marking out from center where this electrical junction box is going to come through the back of the cabinet. Now there's no need to be pretty about this, so I'm cutting the hole oversized because there's a drawer in the back of this one, so it'll never be seen. And then I'm going to cut through the plumbing with this hole saw. You'll notice I start from the back and then I come in and come from the inside of the cabinet. That prevents tear out, just makes a cleaner hole when you're drilling through. Just going to do the same exact thing in a different place on this cabinet. Just using my hole saw to hog this one out. Anyways, I'm getting everything set up in one spot, making sure it's all lined up. And then I'm going to take out this middle cabinet here, and I'm going to drill and countersink my two outside cabinets so I can connect them to the inside cabinet, make sure all the fronts line up, and then so I can drill out to the finished panels that attach on the left and right side. I've got a long straight edge which I put my level on, checking the front and back for level, and always switching your level around in case it's a little off calibration. Marking my just marked me fuck it. Marked me studs, that's what I did, for God's sake. Now I'm using my laser. If you just mark a block and you put it on your cabinet, the laser should hit the same pot on that block as long as you're level. It's a real easy way to check for level instead of using a bloody level. Anyways, I'm just drilling in to find all of my studs to make sure they're in the right spot, because I really don't want this falling off the wall since there's no toe kick. Anyways, I'm using these long 4-inch screws, and I'm putting about a 1-inch washer so they don't pull through. I'm quite fearful about things falling off the wall, so something like this that's going to have a beefy countertop and some sinks and probably a bunch of makeup inside of it, I want it to be quite sturdy. Anyhow, putting on the right finished end panel, didn't need to do any adjustments for it, it just fit on nicely. And then this left panel here stuck out a little bit, so I marked it so I could do a little bit of scribing, which is where you just mark it against the wall and you sort of custom tailor the edge so it fits nicely against the wall. Anyhow, this one was a bit of a trouble. It didn't seem that I got off enough, so I'm using what's called a Shinto rasp here. Basically just a bunch of old saw blades put together in a zigzag fashion, but it's great for rough material removal, and if you use it the right way, tear out isn't too bad. So just sanding things down, because the closer you get to a good scribe, the less you've got to do with caulking and all that. So we got that in, and I'm just drilling it in from the inside. Just doing a bit of cleaning up here, cutting off all them shims with a little razor saw. And that's about it, folks. Bloody hell, there's a hanging cabinet, a hanging vanity, floating vanity, whatever the fuck you call it. Hope you liked it. I hope you have a good day. Anyhow, that's it for me. Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I am teach you about how to make a cabinet that is hanging off the wall with no feet. I'm using scrap material here, 10 inches tall, put together with a battery-powered Ryobi drill, battery charge nail gun. Check for center on the wall so you are not askew. And then you mark where top of cabinet is going to be, raise up to top of cabinet. Now I mark where the junction box will be cut through. I'm going to cut with this 12-volt Makita circular saw, great for drop cutting cutouts like this. Very nimble, agile. Now I'm going to mark the same thing from edge of cabinet and use this hole saw made by Lennox. Many good hole saws can be used. That is just my preference. Got good deal on Amazon. Anyways, marking the opposite side, I am going to start the hole from the outside and then I am going to come from the inside and finish this reduced tear out so your hole is nice and clean. You always want your hole to be nice and clean. So I am now getting a little bit of eyeballs on the cabinet, make sure it is good. Drill a countersink so I can have clean drilling into the cabinet with little effort. Putting in inch and quarter screws so they not go too far. This is very useful. Use a long straight edge to go across all cabinet. Checking front and back, switch in case level is incalibrated. Now I am checking for studs with electronic, that is a shim. That is what you use to level things. I got tired of using the level because sometimes they're faulty. So I use my laser weapon and I mark on a block where the laser is hit in one spot, on the high spot, and then you raise them all up to the high spot. That way you can just run the little block all over the place and use shims to raise it. Now I check for where the studs really is with a drill and pre-drill back of cabinet. I'm going to use this very long, I think 4-inch lag screws with a large washer on the back so they not pull through the back. I do not want this to fall off the wall because that would be painful embarrassment to my profession, trade, family and to Jesus Christ. Here I am, I take out all of supports and what you know, cabinet's still there. Now we put on decorative finish panel. It is completely useless, but it is pretty and the homeowner likes it. Now we try the left panel. It is piece of trash, not fit proper. So we scribe using a pencil, making marking line to curve it to the wall. Use a small circular saw, same circular saw, but it is hard to get a small cut that is less than curve width it wants to get out. So we switch to Shinto rasp. It is very effective in rough material removal, but if used properly, can also can cause material removal without excessive chip out. You want to make sure to push into the finished end, not the opposite. Anyways, there was quite a bit of work to be done here, but with courage and strength, fortitude, you will get things done. Now, I hate cleaning, but sometimes you got to. And we use a small Japanese double-sided pole saw to cut off shims. And there you go, folks. If you can't believe it, we are done. That is it. Goodbye. This is from the opposite side. Goodbye.
Gracias. That means thank you. If you want to see a microscope video, click there. If you want to see a how-to, click there. If you want to subscribe, click there. If you want to see you get rickrolled, click there. Okay.